Let's go back a year and see what we can learn from what we got right and what we got wrong in our NFL preview. The NFL season is rapidly approaching, and sometimes things can move pretty fast in sports. It's good to just take a breath, look back to the past, and see what we can learn from our wins and our losses. So let's start with the teams that we thought were overvalued going into last year. Always do 5 of them. Last season, it was the 49ers, the Bills, the Jets, the Bears, and the Rams. I had the 49ers at overvalued at 11.5 wins. And that basically played out. It was red flag after red flag in the preseason. And at some point, it was just, okay, this season's probably not going to go well for them. And then it was a disaster as the year went on. So that one was the dub. I didn't like with Buffalo, A, the coach, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. B, I didn't love the thought that they'll just, oh yeah, Khalil Shakir, he'll be fine. Keon, whatever, he'll be good. I had concerns about what they were doing at wide receiver with that team. Obviously, it didn't matter. The Bills were excellent again last season, and so I take the L on picking them under 10.5 wins. The Jets, I didn't buy the hype. It was specifically around Aaron Rodgers. I wish I would have not bought into it more, but that was still one of the more lucrative calls, was them to be under 9.5 and them to not make the playoffs. We locked that one up prettier. I don't even know if there was snow on the ground by the time we were able to lock that one in. The Chicago Bears, I had them overvalued at 9.5 wins. People were excited. I was saying, like, this is how you build around a young quarterback. We didn't look at the offensive line, though. Talked a bit before about the Philadelphia Eagles and the foundation they set. That foundation was not set with the Chicago Bears, and it was very apparent that it was a problem. And so that worked out really well for us on a pretty good pick there. And then I had the Rams under 8.5 wins. I just thought it's an aging group. Injuries are going to get to them. And while a couple injuries did, they were still able to survive and advance and get to 10 wins. And so that one was a loss. So on the overvalued teams, we went 3-2. But I felt pretty good about that. Overvalued players, as we talk fantasy football on this channel. Puka Nakua was ranked as wide receiver 8. I said that was too high, and it was. He finishes at wide receiver 33. Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide receiver 9. He ends up at wide receiver 26, so another win for us. At running back, Rachaad White was RB 13. I just didn't think there was a whole lot there for him. And again, right, as he finishes at RB 24. Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver 19 in the consensus rankings going into last year, finished at wide receiver 70. So we went 4 for 4. Can we go 5 for 5? No, because I thought Malik Nabers was overvalued at wide receiver 23. And I was very, very wrong as he comes in at wide receiver 8. So looking at the players that everyone kind of was a little bit too high on, felt pretty good. Nailed that one a little bit. And teams that were people were too high on. All right, feeling good. So what about the teams that I was high on that were maybe undervalued a little bit? Didn't go as well. Undervalued. I thought the Packers were undervalued at 9.5 wins. Was right on that one. Made some adjustments on the defensive side. Jordan Love, another year of development and progression. Kinda. A lot of it was Josh Jacobs. But either way, we got the win there. Arizona, I thought they were a sneaky pick to win that division, and it was looking like it for a bit, and then just kind of leveled off. But we still got there over 6.5 wins. Tennessee Titans, I thought, you know what? Like, Will Levis, maybe not great at quarterback, but he's okay. And they have some veteran weapons around him. They've signed a bunch of veterans on the defensive side. This is going to be okay. And then it really wasn't. Will Levis was a disaster. A lot of guys got hurt, and a lot of the other guys on the defense just didn't care. And it became a real problem for them. So took the L on that one. Really right on Minnesota, that people were just writing them off with what they were doing. They were at 7.5 was the total. They had won 7 games the year before, and I thought they kind of got better. So gave me a big dub on that. And then Miami at 9.5, taking the L on that one. So I thought they were undervalued. I thought, hey, again, this is basically the same team from a year before. They lost a little bit in free agency, but I think they'll be okay. They were not. They were not okay. Undervalued players took a few L's on this one. Isaiah Pacheco, it was injuries, but I got the benefit of injuries in the overvalued one, so have to take the L on it in this one. I still think talent-wise, he's a very good running back. Deebo Samuel was an I can't quit you guy, and I find that starting to creep up with him in Washington. Oh, Terry McLaurin doesn't want to be there. All of a sudden, a few targets might be opening up for our boy Debo. He was at wide receiver 13 last year. I thought, hey, this is one of the best talent or the most talented wide receivers in football. Wide receiver 44. Jordan Love, I thought we were primed for a breakout out in Green Bay. Quarterback 9, too low. Not low enough. He was QB 17. Raheem Mostert, he was at RB 25. He finishes at RB 60. So that didn't go great. The one we did get right on this was Chase Brown. He was listed at RB 36, and we got that one right with the dub because he finishes at RB 12. So you win some, you lose some. That was the only part that we had the losing record on. And then quickly, coaches on the hot seat. Sean McDermott from Buffalo was our number 1, and he probably was, but they had a really good year. And then the other 4 all got fired. Robert Salah, Mike McCarthy, Doug Peterson, and Dennis Allen. Mike McCarthy, a contract not renewed, but not there anymore either way. So overall, I think we did pretty well. So what lessons can we learn from that? Well, one, it's a whole lot easier to tell people what they're getting wrong instead of what you're going to get right. But I think when you look at the teams that were overvalued last year, it was the 49ers injury problems, but those injury problems were apparent right away. And the Jets and the Bears, it was a lot of one the offseason, right? Like it was the Bears have Caleb Williams, a prospect they're all really excited about, and then they give him weapons to throw to. It's DJ Moore, it's Keenan Allen. They draft Rome Odunze. Cole Kmet is still existing as a tight end. So they got a lot that you really like on this team. Forgot the offensive line part. And then with the New York Jets, it was basically the opposite, where, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, little old, probably not that great anymore, but you like a lot of the other stuff. One of the best rosters in football. This is great. But look at the coach, look at the quarterback. They failed it on those. So just overall, try to fight your way through a lot of the hype on a few of those. I would like for the overvalued and undervalued players, I don't know if there was a whole lot to learn from that. And what we got wrong on the undervalued, I think I would say didn't necessarily see all the problems with Tennessee, and just because you recognize the names doesn't mean they're good anymore. So that was a problem there. And then probably for Miami, I think I just had too much of a blinder on for what I thought that offense could be. They changed it up dramatically to try to keep Tua as healthy as possible, and it didn't really work. And they got annihilated in free agency going into that year, and I should have recognized that. So just kind of watching out for the off-season hype as you get ready for the season is always good reminder, and I think we had that there. So that is 4 Down Football. We'll have a lot more NFL coverage to come here on Couch Potato Diary as the weeks go ahead.